Okay, what are we gonna do?
I thought you had some ideas, you said.
Some ideas, some rough ideas.
This is the AT Banter Podcast, a balanced and entertaining look at assistive technology, accessibility, and its importance in people's lives. Join Rob Minot, Ryan Fleury, and Steve Barclay as they banter with people around the world about anything and everything regarding assistive technology and the disability community. Now, on with the show.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Banter.
My name is Rob. I don't know. Because I was looking. Okay, I was looking. Hold on, we did this wrong. Okay, let's do the banter again.
Banter.
My name is Rob Minot. Joining me, the lovely Mr. Ryan Fleury.
Hello.
And that's it. Just the two of us. Mr. Steve Barclay is out and about in the world today, so he will not be joining us.
But that's all right.
Hey, guess what we did on the weekend?
I think we had our staff Christmas party.
Yeah, we did have the staff Christmas party. So first thing I want to talk about with the staff Christmas party is you were extremely well behaved. Probably more well behaved than I've ever seen you at a staff Christmas party in the many years that we've worked together.
Yeah, I just wasn't into, drinking. I just wanted to just sit, relax, and, be social.
What happened? Was this a plan going in? You were just like,
no, I just didn't really feel like drinking.
You weren't feeling it, huh?
No. No, just
was weird.
Casual, relaxed night.
You turned down a beer. I was trying to get Rick to bring you a beer, and you weren't having it.
No, I turned down the second beer. I did have one beer.
Right. Sorry. Yes. You were a complete and utter screw.
That's right.
But everybody was actually pretty well behaved. There was no sort of, even Steve.
Yeah.
Steve usually gets tanked.
Yeah. No, it was very, very mild this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I was shocked. I was shocked. I was probably the big bad boy because I got tipsy. I didn't even really get drunk. I was just like,
well, we'll have to plan something for next year.
Pouring more wine for myself, but yeah, all right. But it was still fun. It was good. And out of that, however, you gave away some pretty cool gifts. It looks like you went out, sir, and got us all little individual cowbells.
I did. I got some black cowbells online for everybody at AT Banter and had them engraved with our AT Banter logo.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. So here it is.
Yay.
Yeah. So, but we'll have to set some ground rules for using them in the show because we don't want everybody, because it'll be chaos if everybody starts to just smack their own cowbell. That's the whole point of the cowbell. It's in a very specific location. One person has control over it.
Well, that's
we all have one.
Yeah,
that's the master cowbell. Like this, these are like
these are your souvenirs for AT Banter in case we ever flop and fail.
Oh, okay. Is that what they're for?
Yeah, they're like to look back on and go, remember when?
I see. All right. Well,
yeah.
What you could also do is you could also actually hang this on the Christmas tree.
We don't have a Christmas tree.
Christmas ornament.
You could.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was our weekend. What else happened? And we should actually, now we didn't get them, but we should also tell people what Steve went out and got us.
Yeah. Steve went out and got us some AT Banter hockey jerseys.
I know. This will be my very first hockey jersey ever.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But it has our name on it and everything, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it has our name on it, but I know it's got our number on it. So like you're 1, I think I'm 2, Steve's 3. It's reflects our seating positions here in the Guitar Dungeon. So it might have our names on it as well.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm excited about that. But yeah, I guess they're not. They won't be in until next week. So yeah, that's exciting too. So a lot of movement on AT Banter crap.
Yeah, I also this week I'm expecting the new AT Banter guitar picks.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Are we going to give those away? Like, what are we doing with those?
Well, I got them for myself and Steve, who play guitar, but, I'll hand them out to you guys as well. And I don't know, I've also got some extra AT Banter cowbells that we could use as giveaways. It just all depends on how we're going to figure out the shipping.
We should just give up this podcasting and just make crap for people.
Yeah, we could. We'll go into the craft business.
Yeah. But no, I think what inspired you, Ryan, was Alexis from Stump Kitchen and all her merch.
Yeah, and she had sent us some Stump Kitchen stickers and buttons, and I thought, this would be kind of cool. Our cowbell is our instrument of choice for the show, and I thought it'd be kind of neat to get us some of our own little individual cowbells with our logo. So it wasn't.
Well, listen.
It wasn't expensive, so
I'm going to sell mine on eBay.
Start an auction.
Right.
There you go. We'll have an AT Banter cowbell auction.
Get $3 for it.
3, 7, 8, 10, 12.
Oh boy, are you optimistic?
Hey, our guests might want our swag. Our audience, they're devoted, they're loyal.
That's true. They're rabid.
That's right. They want more cowbell.
Yep. Hey, I would ask you what we're doing today, but you don't even really know what we're doing today.
I don't have a clue. Not at all.
Well, that's because we had a little bit of an unexpected hiccup with guests. This happens occasionally. Sometimes we get a scheduling glitch, and we find ourselves empty-handed when it comes to a guest. And that's what's happened today. But the show must go on, sir.
Yes, it must. We're gonna have
an idea.
Yeah, we're gonna have a couple gaps between Christmas and New Year's, so yeah, we gotta get them in.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Some little bit extra content.
All right.
Who knows? Maybe go back. Maybe make a blooper show again.
Oh yeah. Forgot all about that.
We have a pretty good. We don't make as many bloopers as we used to, but we've got a few lately.
Oh, I'm sure over the past year there's still some comedy gold.
Yeah, I'm sure. So who knows? We'll see what happens in that regard.
Nice.
But here's my idea for today's show. We're going to turn the mics inward yet again today. And I, Ryan, am going to talk to you a little bit.
Uh-oh.
That's right. We are going to talk about you.
Great.
I can tell how excited
I am. I'm thrilled to bits.
You want to try to get our guest on the line again?
Is Colleen available?
No, well, listen, I thought, you have a very unique story, and you have a very unique, trajectory into where you are. And I think that, and we've hinted at it before, but we've never really talked about it too much. And I think that there are people in the audience that certainly would be interested in it and would get something out a little bit about your story. So with that being said, let's, I think we got a couple pieces of news here that we could talk about. What do you think?
So let's do it.
Hey, did you hear about this, Ryan? Last week, Translink, that's the local transit authority here in Vancouver, for those people who are outside of the Lower Mainland. But they announced some big news that beginning next year, they're going to be installing tactile and braille signs at every bus stop in Metro Vancouver for the blind and visually impaired.
I did hear that. That's a lot of braille. That's a lot of signs.
Basically, every bus stop in the city, which amounts to about 8,500 bus stops, are all going to be labeled with braille and tactile signage. So each sign is going to include the unique 5-digit bus stop ID number and the word stop or the word bay number to identify the bus stop. The bay number thing, that's for stops that are within like a bus exchange.
Right.
The stops are basically all the ones that are just like on the street. There's also going to include the route number and a customer service telephone number, all in Braille. They're also going to be installing tactile walking surface indicators at the different bus exchanges and stations. So, sir, your thoughts?
I think it's great. You know, I think this is all a sign of people ramping up for the whole Accessible Canada Act that, you know, people are working on. And I think the more Braille and accessible signage we have, the better off we all are. You know, we know the senior population is aging, and, you know, at some point to keep their independence, you know, even if you just learn the alphabet in Braille and, you know, numbers 1 through 10, this is a huge asset, and kudos to the city for doing it.
Well, it's Translink. It's not the city.
Well, then, thank you, Translink.
Well, yeah, I think it's great. That's a big commitment to Braille all these bus stops. I mean, 8,500. That's a lot of tactile signage. And I think that, yeah, I mean, certainly it's certainly overdue. It's interesting because this article that we're pulling this from talks about the pilot project for accessible bus stops.
Is that the key to access
being
one?
In existence since 2012.
Oh, yeah.
And they talk about tactile and Braille signage at the Joyce Collingwood station, which is right across the street from the CNIB, and coincidentally right across the street from where we used to work for quite a few years. And as well, they also mentioned the sort of the tactile strips that they put down on the ground to indicate bus stops and like where you would board a bus. And the tactile strips that are actually, I believe they're throughout all the SkyTrain stations now, to sort of warn people where the tracks are.
Right. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that was way overdue. But those are all in. So these new tactile markings that they're talking about, I'm assuming they would be putting down, say, like right at the spot where people would normally be like line up to actually get onto the bus. So, you know, somebody who is visually impaired would be able to sort of, you know, find the bus stop or the bay and, you know, read what bay it is, and then they'd be able to use their cane to sort of go along the ground and figure out where exactly that bus is going to board. So yeah, it's good. It's, you know, it's all very good stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering what took them this long. I mean, if they've been playing with this idea since 2012, I mean, that's quite the pilot project for 9 years. But
well, and that's why I kind of think, you know, the momentum the Accessible Canada Act is getting, and, you know, there's talk of a British Columbia Disability Act. I think, you know, more and more that gets talked about, the more people's eyes are being opened and the more pressure is being applied to these different agencies to become inclusive.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know if they've been feeling the pressure or not, or if the timing does sort of coincide with the Accessible Canada Act. I mean, I guess I would hope so, but you know, whatever the reason, I mean, it's definitely good news for people who transit a lot here in the Lower Mainland. You know, this is going to be you know, way easier, and it's especially nice too because all those individual bus stops, like the article said, have a unique 5-digit number. And what you can do is that Translink has an app where you can go in and you can plug in that number, and then it will tell you when the next bus is going to be coming. So that again could really, you know, be really handy for people who are with visual impairments, because they'll actually know what stop they're at, and they'll be able to plug that in, and they'll be able to have, you know, access to all the information that everybody else does. So now what would be really nice if we had a system like Navilink, right? The folks that we talked to from, I believe it was Madrid, who had the big they're not whatever they're
Oh, right, like the QR code type thing.
the QR codes, right? Like
Yeah.
if you could just scan that with a phone,
Right.
and it would automatically tell you all that information.
Right.
It'd be a little bit easier, but you know, what?
NaviLens.
I'm sorry. Yes, the folks at Navilens.
Yeah.
What did I call it?
NaviLink or something.
That's a completely different thing. It's an air traffic control thing, I think. But shout out to them too. I'm sure they're doing good work too.
That's right.
Hey, guess what else is in the news just in time for Christmas?
Tell me.
Target is now offering Aira for free in their stores.
Is that just in the U.S. or is that Canada as well? Because I think there's some Target in Canada, isn't there?
Well, there used to be. They did a big push up here, but a lot of it fell flat. I don't know if there's any left, to be honest. But no, I think this is mainly just down in the States.
Okay.
You know, adding to the list of the many venues that are now offering Aira for free, including over 40 airports and a bunch of public transit systems, college campuses. I mean, these guys are really pushing it. Pushing this service out there, and they're really getting out there, and it's pretty amazing to see the partnerships that they're getting. I mean, we talked about there's a couple grocery chains.
Yeah, there's an airport in Manitoba, and I think Toronto Pearson International I think is now accessible as well.
Yep.
With Aira. Still haven't heard anything about YVR here in Vancouver.
No, but it's only a matter of time.
It is.
mean, with everyone. I mean, and Target's a big get.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many stores. Well, let me see if they 600 stores in the U.S. That are now offering Aira for free for visually impaired shoppers. So, and I mean, that's such a perfect environment to be using Aira in as well. I mean, say what you will about the airports. I mean, the airports are obviously vital. For somebody who's a visually impaired traveler in an airport, I mean, it could just be the difference of making your flight or not making your flight. But for something like shopping, I mean, it's just as important. I mean, you're wandering around Target. I mean, I'm not visually impaired. I get lost at the mall. So, I mean, and Target's a big store. So, I mean, I could see that how useful that would be for your shopping experience to be able to just pop onto Aira and get a little bit of input in terms of where you're at, or if the gift that you're looking for is in your hand.
Well, and I don't think, and how many of us who are blind or visually impaired have tried asking a store clerk to describe something to us? They may do, they're doing their best job to give you as much help as they can, but the Aira agents are trained. So chances are them describing to you a shirt or a pair of pants or whatever it is, a vase you're looking at, may be a whole lot more descriptive than just a store clerk who can only give you a couple minutes of their time.
Right.
So yeah, it's a huge get, and it's exciting times.
Well, even finding a store clerk,
Yep.
especially around Christmas time, good luck with that.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, this is great, and I think that for every major retailer or major airport or major grocery chain that Aira gets under their belt, it's just going to help build their momentum, and
Yeah, it's really interesting, how much more momentum can they gain? Like, they're just steamrolling, right? So, it's interesting too, we look at the other offers in the market, like Be My Eyes. I was talking to a customer the other day who ended up using Be My Eyes for something at home, and they actually had an agent that was here in British Columbia.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're like geolocating where the call's coming from. I don't know, but it was just quite a coincidence.
That's interesting. Yeah. But you know what I wonder, or what I wonder though, is that 600 stores, I wonder how much it's costing Target to actually do this.
Well, that's just it. Like,
stores, that's a lot.
That's part of the whole Aira thing that, nobody knows, right? Like, I guess unless you're in that partnership conversation with Aira, we have no idea how it's working. What's the kickback? Is there a percentage on everything that's sold, or is it just, here's a bunch of minutes. This is what it's going to cost you. And you go from there. It's an interesting business plan. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, on Aira's side, certainly their goal is to just get everywhere.
Yeah.
And because they know that once the community, is used to using the system, there's a good chance that they're going to want it. They're going to want it for home, or they're going to want to be able to use it, whenever they want, if they're out on the street or wherever. So they know that they're going to be able to. It's only going to improve their subscription base, getting them for free, getting them into these places. So,
Yep.
it's a really interesting business model, and I think it's obviously being pretty successful for them, at least in terms of getting that technology out there. I don't know how many mainstream articles that I've read over the past year about Aira. I mean, it's really becoming ubiquitous. So, and I think that's a real credit to their marketing people and their sort of overall plan. And this is just, like I said, Target's a huge get. I mean, who's bigger than Target? I mean, maybe, I guess, Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? They could be in talks with them too. I mean, if they were to get Walmart next year, oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge. So, and they were kind of smart too, in the way that, they picked their battles. Like they went, they picked transportation first. They started going after the airports. And then from there, they continued to build that, and they picked up, I think, grocery chains next. They picked up a few national grocery chains. Now they're getting into expanding into the retail market, while still, increasing the transportation and the groceries. Who knows? Who knows where they're going to go next?
Well, it's going to be really interesting too, because people have done reviews on using Aira with the Bose AR frames, sunglasses that have the little Bluetooth. The Bluetooth, they have speakers built in. And there's rumors that next year, in 2020, Bose is in talks and working with Aira right now to come up with a pair of Bose frames that actually have a camera. So you won't actually have to pull your phone out. They'll be able to see what you're looking at through your Bose AR frames.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, here's an interesting one for you. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night in a sweat thinking, oh my God, if only I could access memes?
You know what? I'm going to be really upfront and honest with you and tell you I still don't even know what a meme is.
All right, you ready for the official definition of a meme?
I am.
Well, this is of an internet meme, I should say, because the term meme actually is an actual term. But we're going to talk about internet memes, which is what we're talking about here. So an internet meme could be anything from an image to an email to a video file. However, the most common meme is the image of a person or animal with a funny or witty caption. The proliferation of social media has led to internet memes spreading very quickly and reaching more people. There are literally thousands of memes, and right now Baby Yoda memes are big.
Yeah, I've been seeing some of that mentioned on Twitter.
Right. So now, sir, you can be involved in the meme process. Apparently what's happened is Carnegie Mellon University researchers have come up with a method that will automatically identify memes and will apply pre-written templates to add descriptive text, making them intelligible via existing assistive technologies, e.g. screen readers. These 6 researchers came up with a system to classify and translate memes with up to 92% accuracy. Visually impaired people generally use screen readers and built-in accessibility features to help them navigate around the internet. According to a study, social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter allow users to add alternative text to their images, but most users are not aware of the feature and simply do not use it. Ain't that the truth? This has resulted in just 0.1% of images being accessible for visually impaired people. Cole Gleason, a PhD student at CMU's Human Computer Interaction Institute, oh, that's a cool school, said that basic computer vision techniques make it possible to describe the images underlying each meme. Optical character recognition techniques are used to decrypt the overlaid text, which can modify utterance of a meme, according to the report. For each meme, it is necessary to make one template describing the image, and the overlaid text can be added for each occurrence of the meme. Okay, so this is where it probably gets off into the weeds for you. So basically, a lot of these memes, it's like the same picture. Okay, so say it's a picture of somebody putting on a pair of sunglasses. Okay, everybody would use that same picture and they would just overlay different text, like a different caption or something funny or something over that same image. So I guess what they're talking about here is that if they can, they'd figure out the alt text for that picture and that would stay constant. And then OCR technology would actually be able to output the text that is overlaid over that image.
So again, though, it sounds to me like it's going to be another battle with content creators. You know, we've been fighting with them to alt tag their images. Now, if they don't actually put text into that meme template,
yep, then
the screen reader is still not going to see it.
Yes,
right.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's still down to the way that the meme is created.
Right.
And a lot of those memes, like there are websites that you can go to like that will create memes. So literally you would go in, you pick the picture, you type out what you want the caption to say, and then the website goes in and dynamically makes that image and then lets you download it, and then you can do whatever you want with it.
Right.
That's generally how these memes are created. So that's where it would need to be, this technology would need to be inserted, would be at that phase, right? You'd go to the website, you'd pick your picture, and who knows, maybe the website would just automatically alt tag at least the original image,
right,
for you. So it could be that the person who's creating the meme doesn't even need to do anything, and it would be an accessible meme. I guess it would come down to the technology that the website uses to create the meme for people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I'd actually like to maybe get you to create one and send me one, you know, because if I'm browsing through a website and there's a meme there, will I know it's a meme, or will I think it's just part of the content of the website?
Probably. Well, you know, probably what you, I mean, I don't know. It really all depends on how they end up alt tagging that. But I mean, I imagine they would alt tag it in a way that, you know, it would be pretty obvious that it's a meme. Like you'd see, you know, image of a man putting on a pair of sunglasses, you know, with the words Putin on my sunglasses overlaid onto it. Something like that, right?
Yeah, see, to me that's just alt tagging an image.
That's
right.
really at the end of the day.
That's all it is.
All this is.
Okay.
The OCR part of it is really sort of the new aspect of this, because you know that image is going to stay the same across, you know, all the memes of that particular image. So I don't know. It's, you know, honestly, this is really, in terms of hills to die on or things to really be investing a lot of your time into, in terms of accessibility, memes really aren't going to be one of them. But, you know, that being said, they're a big part of our culture. Like people, especially if you're heavily into social media and stuff, memes are everywhere. And to not have access to those, it could be a big deal for sort of the younger generation that cares about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I think it's good. I mean, on the one hand, you can kind of give it a bit of a chuckle and, say, is this really what we should be working on? But, in all honesty, you could you could say the same thing for Netflix movies.
Yeah, it's all access.
Do we really want to make Netflix movies accessible with audio description? I mean, is that really enriching somebody's life to be able to watch Bird Box? But it's if we want to level the playing field,
Yeah.
those are places that are important too, because it's all part of our culture and part of socialization, especially online. So very interesting stuff. So who knows? Maybe next year we'll see more in accessible memes.
Do they have a?
Start sending them to you.
Do they have a? I was just going to say, do they have an example or a sample link in
No.
that article?
No. And again, this will be technology that, again, you're absolutely right that it's going to be, the onus is going to be on the meme creators in order to whether or not they're going to run with this. But yeah, what I'm really surprised with too is that number 0.1%, despite the fact that Facebook and Twitter all allow the creation of alt tags, the fact that nobody uses them, is disheartening. But again, I think that by the time we actually get people on board with using them more, what we're just going to find is that the machine learning AI component of being able to just build a fairly accurate alt tag is just going to replace that anyways.
Yeah, and I really look forward to that day. It doesn't take long to still find websites that are inaccessible for us that are blind. So, the more AI can step in and, fill in those gaps, I'm all for it, because, some web designers, yes, give them credit. They're standing up and taking notice and making the changes, but there's still so many out there. Like, you just punch in any domain you can think of, and chances are that site's going to have some accessibility issues. So bring on AI.
Well, especially in terms of pictures.
Yeah.
And I mean, not only that, I mean, we've learned a lot about, in talking with, countless people in the industry, that there's a real science, not science, but there's a real art, I would say, to alt tagging a picture.
Right.
I mean, you can really run the whole gambit of quality, like image description quality.
Yeah, you could have, black dog standing on green grass, or you could have, man standing with black dog looking off into the sunset. You get as descriptive as you want to, right?
That's right, exactly. So, depending on the care that and the context of the picture can even change.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things to really take into account. So, are the people in the picture happy? Are they sad? Are they, what are they doing? What's the tone of the picture? I mean, all these things, you can go real deep with your alt tags depending on what you want to instill in that. So I don't know, I think at the end of the day, there's still never going to be anything better than a content creator that takes the time to make a high quality alt tag.
Yeah.
Machine learning and AI is never going to be able to do that, but at least if we can get the percentage higher than 0.1% of images online that are actually alt tagged, that would kind of be nice, because I'm sure you're sick of hearing graphic 1, graphic 2.
Well, and you know what it's going to take, and I hate to say this, but and not litigation, that's not where I'm going. It's going to take companies like Facebook and Twitter to say, you are not allowed to post here unless it has A, B, C, D, E, alt tags, alt text, whatever accessibility goes into your tweet, your post, whatever. You can't post. And if we see something that's up here that's not accessible, we're pulling it down.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't think that would ever happen, but yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, Twitter, Twitter's especially frustrating because at least Facebook doesn't hide the fact that you can alt tag an image behind the options menu. Like, it should just be turned on by default, but you actually have to go into the back end, into your settings, and actually turn the ability to put in alt text on, which is stupid.
Yeah.
It all should just be really above board. it should be really easy to find for people, because I think more people would be happy to do it. It's just that a lot of people don't know how.
Well, and I don't know, web accessibility isn't new, and there's been a lot of push towards educating web designers and companies to be more accessible, and people are taking notice now, but we've given them a pass for far too long. Even yesterday I went into Twitter, the twitter.com site, to edit my profile, and that was a pain. I got it done, but this is nothing new, and these things just need to be developed from the ground up. And if they aren't, then they need to go back in and make them accessible. There's no excuse. I don't know how big Twitter is. I don't know how big Facebook is. I know they're huge, but come on, you've got engineers, you got all these teams. There's no excuse to have anything on your website inaccessible.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's true. I mean, and it's, all taking pictures is not, again, it's not rocket science. I think that there just needs to be the will to do it. Yeah.
Well, and I think if the people are going to levy fines against companies that are inaccessible, then make the fine substantial. $100, $500, $1,000, $10,000. I'm sorry, that's not enough. We're giving you a year to make your site accessible. If it's not accessible in a year, you're being fined $1 million. Like, start putting some pressure on these companies to get it done. Hey everyone, Ryan from Canadian Assistive Technologies here to tell you about a product called WayAround. WayAround consists of a free iOS or Android app, or the optional WayLink scanner that connects to your phone via Bluetooth to identify and label items around your home or office. Using the Way tags that come in the form of stickers, buttons, magnets, and clips, you can label just about anything you can think of, such as clothing items, products in your fridge or freezer, plants in your garden, recipes, and so much more. I've used the Way tags to label my Blu-ray movies and my vinyl LP collection. If you'd like to find out more information about the WayAround product, please visit us online at www.canassTech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com, or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Well, now it's that time you've been waiting for.
Oh, is it? Sorry, I gotta go.
What do you mean? You love talking about yourself. What are you talking
No, I don't.
All right, Mr. Ryan Fleury.
Yes, sir.
As our audience knows, you are visually impaired.
No, I'm blind.
Okay. As our audience knows,
my vision is not impaired. It is gone.
So for those people who may not be familiar with your story, were you born blind?
No, I wasn't. I had sight until I was 23 years old, and one late night, I was on my way home from work. I was working in the forestry at the time, and I got back to the city I was living in with my roommate, and we had a third person with us that I'd been working with. We decided to drive him home to another city that was about 2 hours away. So we dropped him off and turned around and started back towards my hometown. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm told I fell asleep at the wheel and drove off the road and hit a rock, which then left me totally blind. I smashed my face into the steering wheel and spent 3 months in the hospital. Well, no, I was in the hospital 2 weeks, but my jaws were wired shut for 3 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a mess, but fortunate, I walked out, and like I said, it left me totally blind. It severed my optic nerve and ruptured my eyes and shattered my nose. My nose is actually built from a piece of bone from my skull.
Ah.
So I from what I'm told, I look different than I did when I had sight.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should show us pictures.
Yeah, I'm sure we've got some somewhere.
So that was 23.
I was 23. Yeah.
So that must have been a pretty big adjustment. So you were in the actual hospital for 3 months.
No, I was only in the hospital for 2 weeks, but my jaws were wired shut for 3 months.
I see.
Yeah.
So I mean, that must have been hard. Like just 2 weeks in the hospital, and then you're out back into the world, and everything is completely different for you.
To be really honest, I don't remember a whole lot. I've got a lot of gaps in my memory going back to that period and even before that. But I hadn't been close to my family. My mom and dad lived in Alberta, and my siblings were there as well, and I was living in British Columbia. So we weren't close, but, being in the hospital, as you're getting ready to leave, they didn't at the time really give me much hope. They were all, you're going to go home and, live with your family and, just live your life doing whatever you're going to do. Really, there wasn't a lot of inspiration, motivation to, pick up your socks and move forward. So I ended up going back to the city I lived in, which was Kamloops, and was living with my girlfriend. And, there was a lot of anger, a lot of depression. Mentally, I was not in a good place.
Now, what kind of resources did you have at that point?
Well, at that time, basically, they put you in touch with, or me in touch with, the local CNIB office, the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. And, like I said, my jaws were wired shut for 3 months, and I don't think I started taking any Braille courses for at least the first 6 months, maybe longer. And the local CNIB office was really great. There was the ability to get some Braille instruction, the ability to get some orientation and mobility skills, so learning how to use a cane to get around and not, fall downstairs and that type of thing. But for me, when I had sight, I was active. I skied, I snowboarded, I mountain biked. I was active. And losing that was pretty devastating. I lost my independence. I couldn't just get on a bike and, take off for a couple hours. And I don't know who to blame for not getting involved in activities sooner, but there didn't seem to be a whole lot of activities for the blind in Kamloops where I was living. I'm sure BC Blind Sports here in the Lower Mainland would come up once in a while and put on a workshop or a clinic on, whatever, curling or skiing or tandem cycling. But that wasn't very often. And so the opportunities to get involved, to me anyway, didn't seem like there was very many. So I didn't. I did some Braille. I ended up getting married, ended up having a son, and that marriage died. Died pretty quick. I think it was 2-3 years.
Right.
But I had good support around me. My friends in Kamloops. At the time I was going to church, so I was playing guitar and bass in the worship teams at church. So I had really good support around me, and that's really what kept me going, was the support of my friends and my family, even though they're a province away. I've always been pretty independent. I left home when I was 16, and back then didn't need to rely on anybody for anything. And of course, losing my sight changed all that. So that's where I've gotten all of my strength from, is supportive family, friends, and people in the community that, aren't related to me, like, CNIB. They were very beneficial to me early on in at least having a place to go, people who understood what the blindness was that I was dealing with, and talking to other people in the blindness community. I didn't spend a lot of time with many of them, but, the ones I did spend time with and talk to were very beneficial, very supportive, and gave me hope. CNB put me in touch with a gentleman in Kamloops named Todd, and I won't give out his last name, but I'm sure everybody who knows Kamloops and the name Todd knows who I'm talking about. But Todd was blinded at roughly, I think, the same age, and was also a musician and had a guide dog, and was working full time, and very similar circumstances. And getting to know Todd and his wife, and just being able to sit down and talk with him and play guitar with him, and was a huge benefit to me. Unfortunately, I haven't talked to Todd in a number of years, but I really think it doesn't matter what your disability is or what your weakness is. Having the support network around you to just give you the strength, the courage, determination to carry on. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be a musician. You just need to have the support of people around you, someone to talk to be able to overcome your hurdles. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely days where I feel trapped in my living room and can't get out, can't get out and go for a walk. But that's my fault. That's nobody else's. If I wanted to regain some independent mobility, I'd get on the phone with CNB and say, hey, let's do some O&M. I want to be able to get on the bus and go to the mall and meet somebody for coffee, or go out and look at some vinyl records, or go to the music store and look at guitars. The only thing holding me back is me.
Does it feel like it's been a long road?
It's a constant journey is what it is. I got my first piece of assistive technology in 1997, which was a Braille and Speak 2000. And, I didn't keep up with my Braille, but, I still know the alphabet and the numbers, so I can, stumble my way through it. But, I think anybody's life is a constant journey. We don't know what's around the next bend. So you go about your daily life with your family, your friends, your job, your activities. You're always learning. Hopefully you're always moving forward. There are setbacks. But I look at how far I've come, and it really kind of amazes me sometimes that I am still here, that I am employed, that I am remarried, that I have a good group of friends around me. And I think it really all comes down to the choices we make. If I was still living in Kamloops, I'd still be limited by what's available to me. Here in the Lower Mainland, I've got access to BC Blind Sports. I've got access to dragon boating, blind curling, disabled skiing, tandem cycling. If there's something I wanted to do, it's here.
Right.
So again, having more opportunities to get plugged into a community, whatever that community may be, is hugely advantageous to having a happy, healthy life.
Right.
And that in itself is hard for me to wrap my head around, because I'm lazy. I'm a homebody. I like my guitar dungeon. I've got my TV, my guitars. My wife has to drag me out sometimes to just say, look, you haven't been out of the house all week. Let's get out.
Right.
And I think that's a definite necessity. You have to have somebody in your life or in your community that can actually either swing by and pick you up, or just motivate you to get out of the house, because it is so easy to just sit down and not move. And I think that's the biggest struggle for me is just getting the motivation to get out of the house, to go for a walk. Because it is, like I say, it's just so easy for me to just sit down in front of the TV or music and just not leave the house all week.
Sure.
And that's not healthy.
No, and honestly, like I'm kind of the same. Let's be honest. but no, but it really does make you feel for people who are, say, in smaller communities that just don't have access to a lot of those activities, and it really drives home the fact that this is an issue for smaller communities.
Absolutely.
And for people who are living in them, because when you don't have access to accessible sports, or you don't feel comfortable, or you don't even really necessarily have much of a community around you of people who are in the same boat as you, it can really feel isolating.
Well, and you don't even know what's available to you. Like if you were living in, I don't know, a smaller community like, Cranbrook or Creston or Penticton, your opportunities, your resources are going to be very, very limited unless you're able to travel. So, it's really tough. You have to have a social outlet, whether it's just going out for coffee and playing cards with friends. You gotta be proactive and advocate for yourself, and you're in control of your own destiny. So community is everything. You have to have that.
So I'm going to turn a few of our standard questions onto you now. So what's probably the piece of assistive technology that you use the most, or that you get the most value out of?
That would be my screen reader, JAWS for Windows. Got my first copy in 1997. It was version 3.2 on, I think it was Windows 95, I believe. And then my Braille and Speak 2000 back then. And I use JAWS every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I've slowly been making the transition over to NVDA. But, JAWS is my go-to tool.
That's because you're a computer nerd.
Well, and what's funny is I had no computer skills at all before I lost my sight. Yeah, sure. In school, we had computer class and typing classes, on IBMs and stuff like that, but it wasn't Windows based.
Right.
And like I said, I'd been working in the forestry. So when I lost my sight, what was I going to do? I didn't think I could go back into forestry. And I thought, well, I can use a telephone, and I'll probably have to get some computer training. So I ended up going to BCIT here in the Lower Mainland and took call center training, because I thought, well, I'll learn to use a computer and I can use a telephone and I'll be set. So, I took the call center training course and started, applying for jobs, and was looking at ICBC because they had a pretty big call center, and there was a couple people with disabilities that were working there, and same with the Royal Bank of Canada. They've got some blind employees there. And then I think before I even had an interview at ICBC, a gentleman we both know, who's very dear to my heart as well, I've known since 1997, is Mr. Steve Barclay, who was working at Aira Technologies. And, basically the rest is history. I started at Aira in 2000 and been with Steve ever since.
And in terms of that, what do you think has kept you in the assistive technology industry since then?
I think a couple things. I was a very good JAWS user and seemed to take to the assistive technology relatively easily. It's computers and that just seemed to come naturally. And so, I was doing, the tech support for Aira and still do to this day for Canadian Assistive Technology. And I enjoy learning the new products and seeing what manufacturers are working on and what some of the potential possibilities are down the road. I think, one of the other things that really keep me in this industry is that and we've talked to people about this before all the time. We find that the blind and visually impaired are underemployed. They may get in the door, they may get the interview, and they never get the call back. And I'm very fortunate to have had employment for as long as I have, and not to say that I would go looking elsewhere if this didn't pan out. But I'm good at what I do. I think I've helped establish a bunch of relationships over the past 20 years going on next year. And I value those relationships and those friendships. And I'd like to maintain those. So, I think that's the big key that keeps me in this industry is the relationships and friendships and helping people solve their technology issues and let them know what's available to them, what the possibilities are. There's still a lot of people out there that just don't know what's available to them. And, a simple phone call can change their lives.
Yeah, I would say that's similar to my answer in terms of it's exciting when you talk to somebody who had no idea that a certain technology even existed
Mm-hmm.
that is going to have a huge impact on their quality of life. It never fails to just make you feel great when you're telling somebody about something that they just light up at the idea that this thing even existed and they had no idea. So yeah, education is definitely an issue with this industry. I mean, it would be great if we could get the word out easier. And we have bits of things that get into the mainstream media. Occasionally something gets on Dr. Phil and people have more exposure to it, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah, and I think we're reaching a point now where if you are online and have access to a smartphone or a computer, you can type in accessible whatever technology or accessible appliances, and you'll find talking microwaves and toaster ovens and tactile washing machines and dryers, and that's all kind of high tech. But, we also have the low-tech stuff, too, like, the pen friend that CNIB sells. My wife and I have this little wooden house that has all these little drawers in it, and all the drawers are numbered, and it's the Advent calendar.
Okay.
And so I use the pen friend labels. My wife, Linda, put all these little labels on each of the numbered doors, and they're not in order, so it's not easy to find them. But every night, I use my pen friend and I touch the tip of the pen to the label and it tells me what the number of that door is. So I look for, tonight it'll be number 10, and we use it for the pets treats. So it gives me some independence to take part in an activity that, we like to do every year.
Right.
So, we've got the low tech, like the pen friend, we could have done the same with the way around stickers as well.
Right.
So we're at a point now where it's very exciting that we have so much available to us, so much more is accessible to us. I don't know. It's really easy to find accessible alternatives to everyday objects now, or make something accessible.
And that's Ryan Fleury in a nutshell.
Yeah, I'm not a great storyteller, but hey.
When are you gonna write the memoirs?
Never.
Well, that's okay. I'll be like the whistleblower, and I'll write like the tell-all behind the scenes, behind the podcast.
Yeah.
Tell-all book.
All right.
About AT Banter when we hit it big.
Wait, we're not big?
Well, I mean, we got merch, so
that's right.
Not selling any yet, but that could change. That could change. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an outpouring of demand for these cowbells.
What we'd have to do is if they can do Braille signage on bus stops,
yeah,
I may have to get AT Banter embossed on some cowbells.
That's a good
I
idea.
have to find out what that would cost.
Yeah.
Or who even does that.
That's right. Figure it out.
That's right. Your $5 cowbell just became $25 cowbell.
All right, let's get out of here. Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
Where can people find us?
They can find us online at www.atbanter.com.
They can also drop us an email if they so desire. Cowbell at atbanter.com.
They can also find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
I think that is going to about do enough damage for 1 week as we can. We got a show next week?
We do. We have an exciting show. Should we tell people what it is?
Go ahead. I'm all for it. I like teasing people with a feather.
All right. Well, we have the folks from Bristol Braille coming on to tell us about the Canute.
Oh, the Canute.
The new Braille e-reader.
Pull a snapshot of what the Canute is.
The Canute is a 9-line, 360-cell Braille e-reader. So you will be able to load your books on it and read refreshable Braille.
Now these guys, but this isn't new, is it? Like this?
This is new. This is still a prototype. It hasn't started shipping yet. It's supposed to start shipping, I think, early first quarter of next year.
Oh, sweet.
But everybody, including us, are taking pre-orders now. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to having them on the show. There's a lot of people that have had it in their hands, and it's had some good reviews. So we'll see where it's at and what's coming next.
Sounds good. All right. Well, then that is going to about do it for us this week. Thanks, everybody, for listening in, and we will see everybody next week.
Bye-bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com, or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840, or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com.
Whoa, look at that. Master of the one take.